Hello, and welcome to CouchCon Plays. I'm Steven. Today we are talking about Monster Hunter World. So I didn't know anything about Monster Hunter World or the Monster Hunter series at all until my good friend told me about it. He said, hey, check it out. It was still in beta. So I got the beta for the PlayStation 4 and played it for a few days while it was available. And then I picked it up the day it came out, and I've been playing it ever since. This is going to be a video on my first impressions of the game, Monster Hunter World. So, at first I was blown away by the character creation. I thought it was really good. There were a lot of options there. Maybe too many options. Lots of menus. I kind of wanted just to get into the gameplay. After having played the beta, I knew kind of what the core of the game was about, which is like killing monsters and dying a lot. And I was a little bit wary of the story mode, but I ended up really enjoying it. The story mode is great. It actually, for a new player like me that didn't really know where to begin or what exactly to do, it gave me direction. I said, hey, go off in here and kill this thing, or go learn how to collect this or make these potions or whatever you need to do. But at the same time, it wasn't crazy hand-holdy. It doesn't have like pop-up stuff all the time that's like, hey, go over here. It's just like, it gives you general direction, general guidelines, but it still gives you plenty of freedom to kind of wander around and explore the beautiful worlds and kind of do your own thing. One aspect that I particularly enjoyed was actually the harvesting of the parts and the creating of the loot. Out of all the reviews that I had watched and all the hype videos that I'd watched on YouTube, basically this was a common theme. It's like people that have played the Monster Hunter franchise or the Monster Hunter series for years felt the beta didn't capture that, or didn't communicate that was kind of what it was about. And after playing, man, I love it. Just the feeling of slaying a giant monster that was, just a few hours ago impossible to kill, and then you get to harvest it and then make a sweet axe or whatever out of its parts is really rewarding. It's rewarding in a sense that you don't see a lot with games. In fact, I was actually startled when an achievement popped up. I got a trophy for something, and I'm like, the trophy is meaningless compared to the fact that I was, fist pumping in the air and getting really excited. My dogs were freaking out because I had just murdered this monster that had been giving me trouble. It's really, really nice to have a game where you can just get in and you see something that's difficult and you work on it and you study the monster, you learn its quirks, you learn its ticks, and then you're like, oh, I need to go craft an item to help me, and then you got to figure out where the stuff is in the world, and then go get the crafting materials, and then make the items, and then come prepared to hunt this animal, track it down, and slay it. And then once you do, it's so rewarding. It doesn't feel like a grind, even though it is. It feels like something you want to do. Even now, I look forward to playing this game. I can't wait to figure out what are the new beasts that are out there to hunt down. What are the new monsters? And at the same time, it's like, oh, I can't wait, once you slay one once, you want to slay it again, get some more loot if you need to grind out a couple items, or maybe some rare stuff. It doesn't feel boring. It actually still feels challenging, because the monsters, once you figure them out, they become easier, but they're by no means easy. It's not like doing the same thing over and over again. You're still engaging. Your brain, your muscle memory, and the environment around you. And sometimes the monsters are easier in certain areas than others, and so it's not just simple. grinding. And I find that really rewarding, and it's something refreshing. And maybe all the, old school Monster Hunter people are like, see, we told you so! Oh, this is super fun! But I had never heard of this. Apparently your marketing was trash. For somebody that likes games and enjoys gaming, like, this series kind of slipped under my radar. So, as of this morning, I know that it's selling a lot of copies. I don't know the exact numbers. Feel free to look it up. So hopefully this franchise will be really popular. At least this edition of it will be really popular. So here are my pros and cons. So my first pro is rewarding gameplay. As I just talked about, the gameplay is really rewarding. Slaying the monster feels great. You feel accomplished when you're completed, and that is nice. My second pro is cool looking armor. Like, all the armor sets look really awesome. They work really well. You can definitely tell what beast they came from. And while I don't necessarily understand all the statistic blocks and all the bonuses and stuff that they give yet, I can tell that like, if you slay like a lightning beast or a beast with like lightning powers, there's like lightning resistance in the armor, and then like if you create a weapon with that, there's like lightning damage or something like that. So it makes sense. It is really nice. The third pro is a wonderfully complex world that was super well thought out. You start to notice even like the little tiny lizards that are crawling around, or the birds that are showing up. They all mean something, and they all have behaviors that make sense within the game world. One thing that I picked up on is after you kill one of the minor monsters in the world, like carrion birds show up, and they just start cleaning up the corpse, and it's really fascinating to just sit and watch. So for the cons, probably the biggest one for me is the menuing system is dense and complicated and can sometimes be confusing. Especially with the item creation, going in and crafting items. I mean, there's just hundreds and hundreds of like mushrooms and flowers and plants and weird stuff to pick up. And when you start playing, you don't really know what all of it is, but you just start amassing all of these things. And then trying to figure out the menuing system to figure out where everything goes is a little bit complicated and convoluted. Also, the menuing system for accepting the quests is different, or it feels different. It feels like they had a team of like 10 people, and each one created a different menuing system for a different thing. And it just takes a while to kind of get used to it. But it was something I did notice. The second thing is the online-offline implementation is a little bit weird. So there's no difference between playing online and playing single player. It basically comes down to whether or not additional people are allowed in your party or not. It does have this really cool thing where if you start a mission, you can send up an SOS flare, and then it basically takes your single player game and allows other people to join, up to 3 other people to join your game, which is kind of nice because it means that, hey, I need some help, I need some people to show up. And while it does scale the monster's difficulty slightly, having 3 additional players really helps. But the interface between those two is kind of convoluted, especially when you're trying to just create a single player mission and go on it. Some of the wording is a little bit weird. So my third con is this odd voice acting, or rather lack of voice acting at sometimes. So most of the cutscenes are fully voice acted, and that's really nice. They're actually really well voice acted. And the animations are really nice. I love that all the cutscenes use like the in-game, the engine. I like that all of the cutscenes use the engine, and that makes it feel a lot better. Also, your character is wearing the armor and weapons that they wear, which is nice. But your character is mute. You never say anything, and it's weird because they directly ask you things, and your character just smiles or nods. And I just thought that was a little bit odd. It just feels weird. But I mean, it's a minor quirk. You kind of get on with it. You know, we just joke about it when it happens on screen, but you get used to it and move on. Because the gameplay, I mean, the cutscenes are, you know, minor compared to the actual gameplay. So, would I recommend Monster Hunter World? Absolutely. I think the gameplay is fun and engaging. I think it's challenging. It's very rewarding when you finally take down that monster that's been plaguing you for hours. Also, the collection and loot system is really interesting. And I can tell already there's a ton of depth and thought that went into it. I think it's going to be rewarding for some months now. Well worth the $60 I put into it. I see that a lot of people are playing it outside of the traditional Asian market. And I hope more people get involved and have fun with this excellent game. So yeah, 2 thumbs up. Go and buy it now.